Hello, welcome to 5D Options, your home of quantum IT tech tips. This is where people come to learn from experience and not theory to help refactor your approach in IT and ultimately enrich your career and portfolio.
Hey guys, this is Tim Fraser from 5D Options. I'm here again to talk about cloud services. This time, my conversation is with you, the CIO, or you, the CTO, or you, the senior leader in the organization that is responsible for IT. Sometimes that might be the CFO, or it might be other people. So, depending on how your organization is structured, if you're in the hot seat with services of IT, and you've got your businesses dragging you out to the cloud and dragging you out to buy services, this is for you. Listen up. So the research I'm going to quote today, it comes from research done by Gartner and several other sources. I want to give Gartner specific credit because some of the languaging I picked from here is there to be consistent, to build upon. And this is with my personal experiences overlaid on top of this, so I want to cover that. So CIOs, listen up. So what's happening in the industry is the proliferation of cloud services, specifically software as a service, has taken over even more so in terms of the value proposition that infrastructure as a service is given. Keep in mind that if I were to draw this picture where you've got basically data centers on one side and you've got infrastructure services in the cloud and you've got platform services that are supporting applications to enable customization and faster time to market. On the far side, you've also got software as a service. Now, software as a service has its own spectrum as well. You've got highly customizable software as a services like Salesforce.com, or you've got standard services like Concur for HR, or even Google Docs, or in effect standard services that are basically out of the box, super standard and pretty much a commodity. So that's the spectrum. So when you're actually looking at data center strategy and cloud strategy, and you enter into SaaS, you're actually not necessarily going completely into a turnkey solution. You might be going into a different set. So this is a challenge, and knowing how to navigate this and have the right team to be able to do this is a key piece of your success as a CIO. So here's the lessons learned and some of the facts and figures. If you look at Gartner data, they say by 2025, 55% of the large enterprises will successfully have implemented software as a service strategy, and this is an all-in strategy. So it might be, hey, we're just going to go straight to a software provider and let them provide us the service. What they don't distinguish is it's that whole spectrum of all the way from highly configurable to not configurable, and your investments and your mileage may vary based on which one you go after. And we have to be very careful that you're not picking your strategic platforms and putting them into strategic application portfolio and put it into commodity platforms, because you're really watering down the benefits. So, and you're losing the advantage that you may be looking to be competitive around. So, looking at the impact of these changes that are occurring in the industry, you need to look towards shifting your mindset from being instead of providing cost center based IT services, or basically, it's a project-driven stuff, to being a cloud broker. You now have to shift your team to start thinking more abstract. Think about, how am I going to manage cloud services? Because too many cloud systems and too much data everywhere is actually a problem. And if you don't plan that well enough, that's a pretty serious problem for a lot of companies who get stuck with the cloud fragmentation. No pun intended, because of the way clouds and rains work. So let me read a couple of bullets here to talk a little bit about the impacts. The accelerated pace of the number of business units and the journey to this house is forcing CIOs to create an all-in flip on cloud strategy. Now, companies that I worked with recently, that's exactly what they're doing. They used to have a data center and a SaaS strategy. They really didn't have something in the middle that says, hey, we must do a cloud first, which would include infrastructure, platform, and SaaS. But they're going directly from data center to, let's just go to the cloud. That's actually a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to the business saying, hey, we want to go to buy a product, and IT, you're not fast enough to give me something. So to some degree, you're going to have to play catch up, Mr. CIO. you're going to have to play catch up and shift your thinking instead of being a blocker in this area to really being an enabler to support those decision frameworks to be able to, when's it appropriate to go platform as a service, when's it appropriate to go software as a service. And that decisioning process is not easy. It's not easy. It's in the context of the business. It's on the business drivers, the business outcomes you're looking for, and how that plays in line with your technology investments that you're looking to make. Are you making investments that are long-tailed? So in effect, you're basically looking at investments from a 5 to 8 year horizon. Are you looking for investments in a 2 to 3 year horizon? Or are you looking for investments that are 6 months to 18-month view? And your cycle and your churn and your life cycle and those investment strategies will vary based on which type of cloud platform you pick. So it's important to have the right team to do that. So really moving from a transactional cost center based IT services approach to all-in means you need to start switching your organization into a way to be able to help the business truly move their application demand or their business value demand into software as a service in an appropriate manner. Remember, applications and platforms are going to come and go. We tend to think that we're going to buy a software package and we're going to put it in the system, and it might be something that truly has a life cycle of or churn cycle. It's maybe on the early hype cycle of the way the investment of that adoption of that technology is like IoT and all that. It might still be on the upside of really getting a foundation laid and getting the excitement. But that's the place where you don't want to put all your eggs, because you may have an application that comes and go. You may throw it away. You may decide multiple ways to invest at early phases of your stuff. So appropriate decisions at the early stages. Appropriate decisions at what I call your core platform that becomes sort of your bread and butter to differentiate your business versus the innovation ideas in R&D and the cool ideas that you think about that might be fast burn. And then you've got the flip side, which is the tail side of this cycle, which includes all the software as a service, more standard commodity base that you can use, and it really doesn't. It's not going to make or break how your customer does business with you. Those kinds of systems and those kinds of solutions are really appropriate decisions. In that space, maybe it's okay to use a out-of-the-box enterprise tool that can be just bought and with light configuration that allows you to go through a life cycle. But in all cases, it's a life cycle conversation, because your life cycle for each one of them is different, and you need to plan for obsolescence, which means you need to plan on how you're going to basically replace or remove those systems, whether cloud systems come and go. Companies get purchased out, cloud systems fail, and then at the end of the day, is your asset and your knowledge embedded in those systems, or is it asset and knowledge embedded in your information, in your data, and your knowledge that comes with your data that you've been holding and storing and controlling over time? So looking at transactional data, historical data, analytical data in this context, so you have a data strategy, an information strategy, a metadata, and MDM strategy around how to control the data, which is your core asset, and then the business processes that is overlaid on top of your transactional view, which allows you to control your consistent view on how you handle customers and products and accounts and other aspects of your business. So that's the framework that you should be looking at when you're looking at changing your organization. So that chaos means you need to have somebody who's thinking about this stuff. So looking at business applications rapidly moving to cloud, we must rethink of the kind of must-have services that you got to have. You got to have out-of-the-box drop-in services so you can play and interoperate between clouds. This also means that when you start looking at cloud on day one, you're looking at a hybrid strategy, because you've got data centers and now you've also got cloud. So what are you going to do on that? How are you going to store your data and what you're going to do? So immediately this conversation moves into a more of an analytics situation about strategic placement, data, and applications. So recommendations are: stop delaying the support of your business. They're going to run over you one way or the other if you don't watch it. This is one of the reasons why CIOs, hate to say this, your life cycle as a CIO is relatively short in organizations today because of these things. Because there's low tolerance for showing long-term success. You got to show success soon, but you got to have a building block structure to build. It's a challenging position, but having the right organization behind you is what's going to help you out. Okay, so review your existing staffing levels and the skills to support the ability to analyze these cloud demands, and decide on how you're going to make decisions. You may have to have an enterprise architecture framework on how to look at how you're going to make decisions, and think about enterprise architecture as a business discussion. It is not a technology discussion first. It's a business discussion first. Have a tight partnership on business outcomes, business premises, business principles, technology principles, solution principles, and data principles or information principles, and you'll have to look at all three of those, all four of those, in the context of your business processes and your business outcomes. And when you have the team that can work in that space, it helps drive a different dialogue in your enterprise architecture team. It drives a dialogue with the business first, and it drives an organizational conversation downstream that says, look, all those enterprise architecture standards that said you must do this and stay inside the box may need to be blown up. You may need to rethink, because your data is going to be in different places, and you have to have a governance strategy and process to support that. Okay. All right. So looking at your existing staffing levels and how can you better support your business demand coming at you, and switch your organizational focus from projects to strategic initiatives that help you really build that building block structure as you go, because you may not have the opportunity to really build a long-tailed cloud platform. You may have to build it incrementally, but you have to have a strategy on how you're going to get there. Here's another slide. It kind of summarizes the acceleration of the pace. So stop delaying. It's inevitable. It's coming. Organizations, small organizations, need to start offering. The word here is cloud broker services. Cloud broker services. So if you come to an organization, a business unit comes to you to say, "Hey, I need help. I need to make a decision and a business driver towards a certain outcome." Your cloud brokerage services, which is really the mindset of an enterprise architect, to look at how can I federate these systems in a way that doesn't create cloud fragmentation, data fragmentation, isolation of data, and still keep an eye on the digital transformation, which is the underlying demand from a lot of companies today to stay competitive and truly change their market game. Proliferation of services and looking at the cost center view to broker view. That's also financial conversation. Different language conversation. You're no longer having a technology acquisition and delivery conversation. You're having really more a services conversation with your clients, and you're enabling them. So you look at a cloud enablement or cloud brokerage services that helps enable your cloud operations. All right, next one is moving rapidly towards public SaaS and the SaaS model. You need to rethink your must-haves. What are the things you must have as a foundation in your organization? What are the things that you must have as the capabilities that you must have as a foundation that you have to lay? So you, in effect, you are laying the foundation for the organization. And if you don't have those, you may have to do a little bit of a buy-build trade-off in this. If you can't build your foundations using private cloud, maybe it's best to look at an insourcing or an outsourcing model, or jump right into software as a service or infrastructure as a service in public cloud services to really take advantage of that foundation and get some help to get the governance around those core capabilities. And those core capabilities that I've described is in a video I just have put out. It is talking about cloud resistance and in effect what is called the MVC framework, which is the minimum viable cloud, and look at that as a foundation, as a technology stack that allows you to then use that as a foundation and core capabilities that any of your business users will need to just assume you have, because that's what they're going to get from a vendor. Okay. Okay, so that's the minimum services, and that includes help desks and all the operational capabilities to support your applications and services. All right, so that's it for today. I just want to go back to this. That's long enough for today. I wanted to say that these are the key things that are happening in the industry. It's happening under our noses. These are challenges that CIOs are facing, and if you need help with this, this is exactly the work that I do. This is exactly the transformational work I do for my clients. If you're interested, please reach out to me. My information obviously is embedded on this website as well as where I'm at. But 5D Options is my brand, and I'll be happy to come take a look at your needs and problems and see if I can use some practical road sense on how to navigate through this thing. Keep in mind, you can and you should consider, if you're looking at these massive transformations, to see if you get a solution partner to come and help you. I will caution you that a lot of solution partners are going to ask you some basic questions that you may need to go get those answers for. And to jumpstart that program and get going, those are the kind of things you bring specialists like myself in who can really cut through the organization, cut through the business, cut through the technology stacks, and the organizational resistance that you may be inherently be prepared to address. And then look at those in the framework of a decision framework that you can then drive with your solution partner, whoever that is, to be able to drive into a solution for leapfrogging or whatever approach you're taking to go all in or not. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, once again, drop me an email, and I'll be happy to answer. If you've got some specific questions about any of my content here, or if you'd like a copy of my presentation slides, I'd be happy to talk to you offline. Tim Fraser, 5D Options. Until next time, stay in the clouds.